two devices because that's how we do.
Multitasking.
Multitasking always. I just want to make sure we're live on everywhere. And comments will come through, so I will be posting them as they go live. Just real quick, make sure we're good.
Hey, I lived in Sevilla for when I was in college at Universidad for 6 months.
Oh, fabulous. You enjoyed it?
We loved it. We went to Valencia. It was special. It was like 30 years ago. It's been a minute.
Oh yeah, my Spain time was a while ago too. Okay, cool. I'm gonna just share a link to some people. I'm in some Twitter groups, or X groups. Yeah, feel free to repost if you guys are on social. Give me 1 second. We're just getting set up here. All right. Okay. Does someone have TV on, or is that me?
Not me. I'll probably have like a dog barking at some point, I'm sure.
Oh, okay. Oh, it went away. I don't know who it was, but I'm not going to call you out, whoever that is.
It's chaps outside my door, Spanish chaps, having a big conversation.
Spanish.
Okay.
You sound like a TV. I love it.
Also, like Spanish chaps is like a great hoodie. I'm gonna make that for you.
It's like it's a Spanish tapas and cerveza time, basically, because it's close to, it's like after work hours over in Europe. But okay, we're gonna get started here. Thank you all for joining. Welcome to the Runway Roundtable. This is actually the first edition. I wanted it to be a boardroom style strategy debate, a conversation that we usually have behind closed doors, but we like to have openly with everyone online. So I'm just going to do a quick intro. My name is Janey Park. I'm the founder of the Digital Runway. It's your source for news, insights, strategic storytelling at the intersection of beauty, fashion, tech, and AI. And our goal is to keep you informed and ahead of the curve, and hopefully not replaced by AI, because you're staying in the know when it comes to these topics through newsletters, live shows, as well as a community to amplify diverse and inclusive voices. So make sure to connect with each and every one of us. I'm super excited. Today's topic, but also the roundtable of guests. And I am going to just say that even this title, we took some time with Decentraland and also with Serotonin to craft the messaging. And I'm super happy about it because we are talking about more than an avatar, why digital identity matters now. And this is such a relevant conversation given what's been happening with, H&M and their digital models or digital twins, whatever you want to call them. Everything that's happening with AI and Studio Ghibli to obviously, Decentraland Metaverse Fashion Week happening very soon, which is also why we are here today. But I want to give a quick intro, and I'm just going to do them very quickly, just so we can get into the meat of it. But Paul Roustan is a Los Angeles, SoCal-based body painter who also creates with Web3 NFTs and in the Metaverse. Rebecca Orlov, the founder of Epic Playdate. She's redefining avatars for Gen Alpha, which is a very important conversation. And GLITCHOFMIND, he is a multidisciplinary artist, reshaping cultural identity, fashion, and all the things. And Bay, of course, Bay Backner, she is curating Decentraland's Metaverse Fashion Week. She is also an assistant professor when it comes to emerging technology. But yes, before further ado, first of all, I just want to say thank you to Decentraland for powering this conversation. And Bay, I want to give you the floor to give us a 1 to 2 minute teaser on what Decentraland is, what Decentraland Metaverse Fashion Week is all about, and how people can join.
That's awesome. It's great to be here, Janey. And I'm going to talk over the Spanish chaps that are still hanging outside. I'm in my studio, which is where I work. So ground floor in Spain right now is busy with the meriendas. So yes, it's awesome to be here. I'm from Decentraland. I work with the Decentraland Foundation. Decentraland is a social virtual world, which is accessible to everybody. It's free. You can jump in via downloading a game, a client on your computer. And that gives you access to an open world in which you can explore, create, connect, start expressing yourself through what we call wearables, which is the virtual fashion within Decentraland. You can create them, you can make them, you can sell them, you can wear them. You can also express yourself through emotes, which is how an avatar moves within a virtual world. And beyond that, we have a huge program of cultural events. That's my remit. I produce the cultural events and curate all the foundation-led art projects. We have an amazing program coming up called Creator Connect, which is bringing in some of the top artists in 3D into Decentraland to create installation work. And on top of that, we have events like Metaverse Fashion Week, which opens next week on Wednesday, the 9th, until the 12th of April. We're going to be diving into Metaverse Fashion Week, what it is, so what it means. The theme this year is infinite identities. So we're really centering avatars as this creative canvas for self-expression, identity, creation, talking about how we can be ourselves within virtual spaces and what that means in the wider context.
Amazing. By the way, Bay, you have the best voice, and I feel like I can listen to you forever just speaking. But I want to get to some of, everyone is blowing up the chat here. We have Kim from DCL excited for this chat. I'm going to go through some of them. Peace sign, we always love that. Hasib, thanks for joining. And let's see, Astrid. Roustan, you're getting a lot of love here, I'm just saying. And Ala is joining, saying that she's looking forward to all the nuggets. Rebecca is somehow multitasking and also writing in the LinkedIn chat. And Astrid says, hello. I did talk to her yesterday. She said great things actually about all of you. So I was excited to have her join in. And Rebecca also still continuing to comment. Amazing. I have to run this conversation, so I actually can't run the chat. But if you are watching, listening live, please drop any questions that you have. We're going to go through, just so you guys understand the format, 3 different debate topics of things that are hot, that they are controversial. We are going to weigh in. We are going to riff off of each other, not riff as in have a conversation. And just make sure that your network is part of the conversation. Tag a friend, repost, send it to them. And without further ado, I'm going to stop talking a little bit and I'm going to throw in the topic number 1, which is digital identity, AI identity. Lately, there's been a lot of conversation and controversy over AI models, digital twins. If you've been keeping up, or if you read my newsletter, you saw me write about H&M digital twins and models, virtual influencers, which we're definitely going to get into that because I'm all about diversity and inclusion. And I want to talk about, are we genuinely expanding self-expression and our identity through this? Because there have been instances where I'm just going to go into it because that's just kind of how I am. But there's been a situation, I'm sorry if I can't pronounce it correctly, but I couldn't find the pronunciation, but I think it's Shutugram, but I'm also Korean, so I just made it sound very Korean, which is a Black female virtual AI influencer created by a white photographer. So I'm just throwing out different things, and I want you all to chime in on the conversation in the comments as well. But it's led to a lot of controversy. She was actually the first digital model created in 2017. And this sparked a lot of debate about cultural and racial appropriation. And then on the flip side, we have something like H&M. They partnered with 30 different models to create digital twins. They were given the license. They could work with different brands, not just H&M, the competitors. But at the same time, I think the way that they did their advertising campaign with it says AI generated or digital twin on the left side, and it had a little, text overlay, that really explained why they were doing this campaign. So there was a lot of transparency. So I want to get into this. What are your thoughts on all this in terms of digital identity, diversity, authenticity? What does that look like? Are they doing a good job? Are they doing a terrible job? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I'd love to just jump in real quick and say, I am here for the digital avatar expression identity. And this is why. I look at this as personas. I think we need to suspend or have a mind shift with like humans, when, I look at it more through the eyes of like a younger cohort, let's say Gen A, so 13 and under, and also myself. But the colorway, the vibe is completely whatever you want it to be and express yourself. So as regards to like an actual human, when people go in as their identity, it doesn't matter what color you are. Do you have a face? You're headless. You have one leg. The idea is that you're expressing yourself as your digital twin / persona / identity of that moment. Mm-hmm. So when I look at it through like digital identity, there is a much more abstract definition, in my opinion, than just, this is a human and this is a human in real life or a human URL. I think it's important to understand that a lot of people are expressing themselves through a completely new lens. They're still themselves underneath. Look at Chappell Roan. I mean, her name is Kaylee. She's like red hair and no makeup. But when you look at her on stage, she's a completely different person. So it's just something to think about, in my opinion, for that.
Well said, Rebecca. I think we're done here. But seriously, like I want to echo everything she just said. But as a metaverse explorer, I've been in Decentraland since 2021, and I've met thousands of people there, and I've met thousands of their virtual representations, and I've met some of them in person in real life, and many I haven't. But what I've come to know is that the people that I've met in real life that I first met virtually are just as real as their virtual representation, even if they don't look like that. And I think what happens is when you become whatever it is you want to become virtually, you are able to be more authentic as an individual. And also as a result, it's easy for us to sniff out those that are not authentic. It's like a very, very powerful thing. And I, when I see debates and issues in the media about like cultural appropriation and anything that people get heated over and cancel culture and things like that, I usually personally I ignore that stuff. I don't like for me, one of the big things in my career as a body painter, 15 years ago, I could use the color black with no issues. Now, if I put the color black, especially on the face, someone gets angry. And some models won't even let me use the color black on the face. And it's because of this like dialogue that's been happening for the past decade or so. And it's unfortunate because to me, it's all about intention, right? And so like, if your intention is to be, awful to another culture, that's one thing. But if your intention is not, it's to just use the objective color black, that should be fine.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna jump in unless Glitch, you go first, and then I'm gonna jump in because I got counter.
No, I would love to comment on this because I completely understand both of your points about digital identity, right? But one of the main things for me, for example, about digital identity has been the fact that you are able to create a character, right, that represents you, can represent your culture, can represent a million different things, right? So when you have, for example, like what you mentioned, Janey, about the white photographer creating a black avatar and using that and getting fame, getting a sponsorship from that, it kind of like, in a way, the debate, I completely understand that because it kind of negates some other, basically sometimes even real people who don't get those chances because of their race or their identity, right? So sometimes when people get angry, I think what we need to kind of empathize a little bit is a little bit about the empathy and understanding from where the other person is coming from, right? Like your intentions can be good, but your intentions, you are the only one who know your intentions, not the other person who received the message. So for me, if I see a white model, for example, painted in black and sort of like with some sort of cultural things that is representative to that culture, can be a little bit tricky. Well, but it's kind of like basically it's black and white, right? Like we are right now in this thing of creating more awareness about different cultures and not only the predominantly one, and creating that kind of diverse so we can hear all those voices. So when somebody who is from that culture and is not actually heard or allowed to speak, and then somebody from another culture come and take that and become kind of influential or have some form of benefits from it, it's when the people, people get a little bit riled up about it, because it's upsetting a little bit. Like many people have gone through many hoops and different changes in order for them to be heard. And then because of this person has already navigate another type of space, can be a little bit, icky there, right? So for me, always what I try to practice and what I recommend everybody in these terms is like, try to take away your own emotions and feelings from it and your intention from it, and see the other side and the perspective of the other person who will perceive that as a form of mockery or an insult to their own culture when their culture has been already marginalized. So it's tricky there, right? Like it's finding a way to balance that we can have those type of conversations without the artist in itself get offended by that culture being offended by your creation. So it can be a debate where it teaches us and we can learn from it a lot. We can try to understand the other perspective and try to create that sort of empathy that create a safe space for everybody's voices to be heard. That's, to me, my 5 cents about it.
That was like 50 million cents. I love it.
You're totally right, Glitch. You're totally right. I mean, but I think the empathy goes on both sides. It's not just one-sided. People nowadays are very quick to jump and assume what they believe an artist's intention is, and I think that's very dangerous, and it's causing creatives to maybe pull back a little bit when they shouldn't be. Like, artists should be free to explore anything, no matter how outrageous or whatever, and what should happen is a conversation with intention. We saw I think it was it Alice in Wonderland? I can't remember which movie it was, but they replaced little people with 3D animation, and then they did it again in Snow White, and then they had Snow White played by Ziegler, and she's Hispanic, I believe. And that caused an uproar, and some of her opinions caused an uproar to the point that nobody watched the movie. Like, how about we watch the movie and then make decisions based on that, or I don't know. It's just weird to see things get pulled out before you can really take it all in.
I think too, I agree. And I think too, Glitch, I love your point of view and I completely agree. I think that there should be more like of an empathetic space and like a safe space to be able to share with intention, but also respect across the board. I will say, like, pulling it way back though, Janey, as like the conversation of digital identity, you mentioned, Glitch, building a character. It's funny because I have shifted my mind. These are not characters to me. Like, I have my Roblox avatar where I'm spending more time. Like, that is me. Right now she has no head and she has one leg. And sometimes she's male, sometimes she's female. And I am, the point is like this identity versus culture art. Like, that's where I'm looking at it. I think there needs to be like a shift for people when they head virtually inside of the realms. We're no longer on or offline. We're always connected, and we're connected because of our phones, to be quite honest. And with that, you can go analog and like turn off your phone and go outside or do whatever you want, or like turn this all off. But we're always connected. So there's a really seamless experience between our identity, in real life and, online. I'm trying to parent my kid like that and be like, look, be a great person in real life and be an amazing digital citizen online. This is your identity. So expressing yourself for that larger conversation of this topic, I think there's going to be a lot of debate, as there always is, about the cultural impact, about how people are behaving. But I also think from an identity standpoint, people have a lot more opportunity and options to express themselves because of the infinite canvas that virtual spaces are.
If I could jump in back on that issue of authenticity as well, and I think this is one of the key things for us to talk about in this panel, is that I see this authenticity splitting. So if I'm talking about authenticity around AI models in the fashion industry, I think that the fashion industry is falling behind in that conversation about authenticity, because what physical fashion actually offers is that authenticity of immediate access to who someone on the surface is. We see someone in real life, we have that connection with them, and we make assumptions based on what they look like, how are they dressing, and traditional fashion falls within that remit. We style ourselves to augment what we already are and have a conversation with other people. We try and connect with them through that. And if real life fashion is going towards AI, they're missing that. They're missing that human connection that actually drives the fashion industry. Whereas we, on the virtual side, deal with these augmented, split, divided expressions of self, which are just as valid as this surface self that we talk about in the real world. When we walk into a space or a party and we're presenting ourselves. In virtual worlds, we can do that in an infinite number of ways, and we can do it in a way that no one can make assumptions as to who we are internally when we're presenting ourselves in virtual worlds. And I think that's, Roustan, something that you touch upon very much in your work, as both of us have been in Decentraland now for, 3-4 years, and we have connection with people that we can make no assumptions about. I don't know their age, their gender, their geography, their identity, what they associate as. All I have is how they're presenting themselves in that virtual environment. And yet, as we both know, as Decentraland citizens, we have genuine connections, working relationships, creative relationships with those avatars who we know as their avatar names. And when we meet them in real life, it's this absolute delight and joy of, oh my gosh, that is Kairos, or that is Tang, or that is Kanessa. We only know them as how they present in real worlds. And you suddenly have this treasure chest of exploring my assumption, their assumptions. It really opens up that dialogue. And I think that's to understand where we all come from. And I see the fashion industry as really not understanding that and falling behind if they're starting to use AI and virtual to sell real clothes. It misses what that actually means in real life.
Also to add what Bea is saying, I remember the beginning of Decentraland and trying to tell people all about it, and they would say things like, how do you know that's a female you're talking to, or how do you know that's a real person, or how do you know this and how do you know that? And what's cool is now, after all these years, I've really like closely developed relationships with so many people, and some that I know represent themselves as female that are male, and vice versa, and that's okay. That's totally okay. And what's funny is, like, it's not something to fear. And a lot of the things that people tend to fear, like AI and, what's driven by the media, is they get clicks and they make their revenue off of showing fear. That just draws more interest, I guess, right? And to me, there's just nothing to fear. Like, I swan dove in without regret and consumed everything that it offered me, and I encourage everyone else to do that.
Wow, guys, there's just so much to unpack here, and we're like literally already reaching the 30-minute point. I mean, we literally could just talk about this topic probably for about 3 hours, but we don't have that time. But one thing that I did want to address, because I am not necessarily an artist per se, like I've done digital art before and I've, sold it and I've done different things, but I don't really feel like that's necessarily my secret sauce. But at the same time, I understand from an artist perspective why they would be so upset, especially if they're trying to create something in their name, image, and likeness, or their culture or their race, and that someone else is monetizing. And I think it's a very nuanced conversation. It's not so black, white, rainbow, yellow, brown conversation, I would say, just to kind of, tag onto Glitch, what you said earlier. It's a very gray conversation. But I think the fact of the matter is, how do we maintain empathy, cultural sensitivity, and also, you know, recognizing we understand a culture from the outside, but we may not understand it because we are not that culture. And same thing for, you know, those people who are citizens of, you know, Decentraland, for example. If you've never been to the metaverse, you're not necessarily going to understand it. But also, I think it's about how you make other people feel, especially if you're not part of that subset or that group. Because if you feel okay with it, that's fine by you. But if you're not part of that culture or that group or that subset, then you don't really understand kind of the nuances of everything. So, but I do agree, like as Roustan said, like there needs to be empathy and culture and sensitivity, and all of you were touching on that from both sides in order to move forward. And there's so much to unpack here, but
there's one thing. I'm so sorry. Because this is interesting. So I'm currently, it's it's almost like the conversation this is versus digital identity. It's likeness versus realness, actually. That's what I think.
I'm gonna get into that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because digital identities could be any, you know.
Yeah. I think the H&M, the AI thing, because Bay actually talked about that, but I definitely want to dig into that because that's a whole other can of worms and Pandora's box that we're going to open up. But I do also want to recognize that this is a live stream and people are chiming in. So I just want to acknowledge them. So OBL, Orange Bag Lady, is one of the OGs within the space, VV, VR, everything. And I love this because she said, VR chat has opened my eyes to the possibilities of digital physical identity, not Web3, but we can learn a lot from the platform. And I mean, she is exactly right. She's been running spaces, going into the metaverse, you know, for a long time. And so it's been interesting to see that. And I'm just going to run through quickly. I don't know if I can get to every single one, but I want to highlight a few of them. Ibrahim said also there'll be influence of digital fashion, styling in the metaverse and the fashion industry for sure. Allah as well. Ooh. If AI tools and avatar creators have democratized the economy, empowering anyone, anywhere to express identity in new ways, shouldn't we celebrate the freedom instead of limiting it with outdated analog era mindsets? And I think that's kind of the two sides that we're all acknowledging, but also discussing at the moment. And I'll just get to one last comment before we move on. But Hasib, thanks for joining. It's a fun discussion because we get into the argument of, are we creating work for ourselves or for someone else? And if for someone else, then is it achieving purpose if it's siloing certain folks into a box? And like you all have very insightful conversations that we could, again, go for 3 hours, but that is not the case. But Rebecca, to what you were about to get into, and also Bay, you were referring to about, you know, H&M and the situation of AI models and digital identity. Let's talk about first, what are your thoughts? Do you think by 2050, we will all have digital twins? Or maybe it's earlier. Let's talk about this.
I have my own perspective on that. And what's interesting is I don't know if you guys remember oh my God, was Lex Friedman when he interviewed Mark Zuckerberg, and they did it virtually in VR. They weren't in the same room, and they used I think it was metahumans. It was like an exact replica of their physical bodies. And for a moment there, Mark Zuckerberg mentioned that I think you know, we're building this thing, but I think in the future people don't want to look like themselves. Isn't it more fun to look like something else and be what you can imagine, you know? And I remember for myself, even before that interview happened, there's this app. I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name. I think it's Avatar. I don't know the name of the app, but you can scan yourself and turn it into a VRM and upload it into a metaverse. And it's basically an exact replica of you. And after years of Decentraland, and obviously this is just my opinion, but almost instantly when I dropped it in World and I saw myself, I was like, I don't want to be me. I don't want to be me. No thanks. But at the same time, there's other metaverses out there that really glorify the body and make you look super attractive. And I don't have the option to be a little bit closer to what I feel like, you know, like I want my dad bod. I don't want like I am who I am, you know, and I want to like keep a part of me in there, you know. But again, it's all up to the individual. Like this works on an individual basis. But if I had to guess, I agree with Zuckerberg in that in the end, we're all gonna want to make ourselves a little bit better in some way.
I would go beyond that, and I think we just make ourselves exactly what I think to harp with your comment, Rebecca, about ourselves in the moment, that it can be so transitional that we can change it within seconds. And we see that in Decentraland with people styling themselves in response to what's happening around them. So you have a music performance and everyone suddenly ripples and styles them in the style of the person making the performance, or they're wearing the NFTs that have been created by the performer. They change it in terms of the song that's being played. When I was producing VR art fairs, so my background is I produced an art fair with cubes created by artists. What was the most joyful thing is people walking into those cubes and styling their avatars to be part of that. So having a dialogue between the art that they're experiencing and what they look like and how they're representing themselves in the space. So no, I don't see us having digital twins because I think we'll leave that behind and say, actually, I'm much more part of a community than I ever felt in physical spaces. I can respond to that community in real time, and I can feel part of a crowd, I can feel part of an installation, and I can use my identity and how I'm presenting to have a dialogue with what's going on with me and around me in real time.
I really love that. Yeah. No, go ahead, Rebecca. Go ahead.
I just have I have a really big point of view about like structuring this. So first of all, digital twin or digital identity is the topic of this larger roundtable today, Janey, which I love. But digital identity is different than a digital twin. I mean, these are all still being defined. I mean, we're in the middle of all this. We're fairly early, but digital twin is your likeness, and it's likeness versus realness in life. And also then there's our self-expressive persona or avatar. These are different things. For example, people, my daughter's in Roblox. I'm in Roblox. That's kind of what, like where I kind of sit right now. But people are changing their avatars every hour if they can, every minute if they can. And the way that young people will be shopping in real life is going to change because of avatar styling. I'm just saying right now. That being said, I have my own avatar cutie. She looks so different than me, and young people do not want to look like themselves. Most people in life don't want to either, Rita, like you said. Digital identity or digital twin is different. It could be your likeness. So for example, I'm in a beta of a very kind of emerging fashion app, and it is so crazy. It looks nothing like me, but it looks like me. You know, I'm shorter, I'm a little curvier. This girl is clearly 5'10", model. It's aspirational / I'm not sure yet because we're so early. The digital twins will appear. I do, you know, Bay, I think to your point, the avatars will be our kind of like unique to whoever you are, and your digital twin can show up. You know, maybe I'm showing up as Rebecca or the digital twin in my next Janey Park moment. You know, I'm like behind the screen, really. But I do think it's all happening, but we have to be mindful of these are different things. That's my opinion right now.
And I'm 5'11" and 3/4, and I'm not offended that you changed yourself to 5'10".
I love that you that whole app. I know we were talking about, but literally model look completely. But you were trying to speak earlier, so I want to give you the floor.
No, of course. Like now, I completely agree with Bea what she was saying about it, because to me, one of the wonderful thing about it, about everything related to your digital identity and what you want to create, is that you have literally freedom to express whoever you want to be in that moment. It's not the same like in the real world where sometimes you're a little bit more shy because how the society will look at you if you're wearing certain type of clothing. And that, I think, for me, what the fascinating thing about anything related to the metaverse is kind of changing the perception of, especially the new generation coming out. You know, you see more people more daring to be kind of like how they will present themselves in their avatar in the metaverse in real life. So in some way, it kind of pushes them and motivates them to not give I'm sorry, I know that we cannot use bad words here, but you know, not give too much thought about how other people perceive them, right? And I think for me, that part of the movement, when you are pushing that and making people more liberated, especially in the state that we are right now with all the politics and body politics and who has to be who and what do you have to fit in, what box you have to fit, because if you don't fit there, you are abnormal. right? That gives the freedom to people in this metaverse to kind of create and express properly themselves however you want. I love to ask my friends, especially my male friends, I always love to ask them, like, if you could wear whatever you wanted to wear right now, and nobody like get away like from the judgment and everything, what would you wear? Mostly people, like most of even my straight friends, are like, a dress, because it looks so comfortable, or a flowy thing that looks so comfortable. And I'm like, these type of things, I find it really fascinating. I love to ask that question, like, what would you wear? Like, even myself, I'm thinking, like, what would I wear if I didn't care, or if I really was like wanted to be free? I will right now, like, I will sew a skirt and wear it with my boots and just go around. I mean, like, getting that air between your legs is such freedom. I don't know. That's the way that I look at this. And for example, just quickly, like, when I was growing up, like you said, many young people don't like themselves. I was one of those people. When I was growing up, people told me that my lips are too big, my nose is too big, my hair is too afro, my hair is this. That one of my escapes was actually going home and playing video games, because in video games I could literally just be that character, create that universe for myself. And now that we have also the metaverse, like providing that, facilitating that for people to just do, it kind of like inspiring to you, like in your real life, and how do you can change those things and let go of those boxes that we have been building in way to like express. So I really find it fascinating, this conversation and about that.
No, I mean, there's so many directions we can go. I'm like loving, I don't even have to do anything. I mean, you all are just like engaging with each other. We were saying like air between the legs. I think we just all cracked up. And I think when each of you were speaking, it just reminded me, for example, like Beyonce talks about her alter ego, right? And a lot of performers say this, that they're Sasha Fierce. So she completely transforms into this other persona or personality. So I think to all of your points, and Rebecca, you touch upon this deeply as well, is that there's a digital twin. It basically looks like you. Maybe it helps you to go shop. You can do like a little video image. I can try on a jacket, a dress, a makeup look without actually doing it myself. Put it to a car, probably with your AI agent in the future. And then on the flip side, I have my digital identity. So if I want to be, rainbow colored holographic skin with bionic arms, can't do that in real life. Same thing, if we're talking about how Nicola Formichetti used to style, Lady Gaga in these crazy looks. Like, I'm never going to wear a red meat dress for sanitary reasons. Like, I love meat. I'm Korean. We love Korean barbecue, but like, I am not wearing a red meat dress. But you give me a sushi dress in augmented reality or virtual try-on, like, that's fun and that's amazing. But I think, I don't know. For me, the bottom line is, for sure, I think all of us will have a digital twin in our name, image, and likeness that we can own. And I think part of it that we haven't talked about is the Web3, the blockchain, the authentication, the ownership, and the monetization aspect. Because even when we were talking about before, when it comes to, H&M, the AI models that they're giving ownership, they could actually use them for other competitors' brands, not just for themselves, or even in Shootogram's like case. Like, is there a way to monetize or help different, NGOs or charities to give back, right? Because if you're getting, a lot of flack for it, it's like, well, why are you creating in this culture? Is there a way for you to give back and like literally create this circular model in terms of what it looks like? But as we're kind of about to reset for the next conversation, I just want to get to some of these comments. I mean, you guys are literally writing little Harvard business case study essays here. I'm like trying to keep up. Obviously, mega brain here. If we were to analogize, okay, I guess he means like go back to analog, this back to my era, the only option I had to transition my digital identity and persona was my AIM. Oh my God, for anyone who is not a millennial and up, AOL.
ASL.
ASL.
Oh my God. I often refer to the metaverse as the visual version of AOL.
Yes.
Awesome.
Chat rooms. Gotta get in the chat rooms.
Actually, that change every 10 minutes. Glad the folks have more immersive options to showcase. Crypto Magic Hour says digital twins are already here. I agree. And Tang from DCL, I interviewed her, I think 3 years ago. So it's good to see you back here, Tang. Bay, you're getting a little shout out. Hasib is blowing up the chat here. That's the dream. Instant transition of identity based on feeling and immersion. Oh my gosh, mood rings. We could have mood rings, scents, plus this together. I'm that person who has the craziest ideas. Tete, appreciate you, my brother, for coming through. He's amazing, does art, music, and also mental health. Make sure to connect with him. Also, Roustan, you're getting some love. You got to give Glitch and Rebecca some love here, guys.
Well, by the way, I did find a meat dress. I put a meat dress on my girly for you, Janey.
Oh, you did? Okay, nice. Drop it in.
It's funny because I want to respond to all these comments, you know, like I'm
Oh, you
writing
do?
down the names.
I wanna know what's going on.
And it's like I appreciate the awesome points that they're making too, you know, and I'm forgetting now the ones that were made in the previous text showing, but like it's really cool to see everybody.
Look, Roustan, I mean, any of you, if you want to come for a Monday mukbang, which is, I'm Korean, and that basically means eating broadcast, it's a lot more chill, and we can just eat, hang out, and talk about stuff. That's the reason why I do this, because it's harder to respond to everything. But I'm going to give you the floor right now before we continue. Do you want to respond to this or any of the other comments, Roustan?
Well, I wrote down the names. One thing that Hey Allah said before, and one thing that Hasib said before, and I don't remember what they said now. I should have wrote down the comments or screenshotted it or something.
See,
But I just want to appreciate. I just really appreciate what peeps are typing.
Yeah, you can go back as well, like on LinkedIn and different platforms, and respond to that.
I like never use LinkedIn, so I have no idea how to use it. But I'll check it out. I'll see what I can figure out.
Just go at Roustan on Twitter or Instagram then. Yeah, I just want to get through really quickly here. LM Designs, Lee, it's weird to see your real name. Again, like the digital identity thing, I know everyone's handles, but here on LinkedIn it's different. And I am going to run through, because we're 17 minutes, because we're about like at the hour. I'll do a double check at one point. I mean, you guys seem to be very into it, but I'm sure everyone is also very busy. So I want to be mindful of time. But I want to get into the second conversation or the debate topic, which we've kind of touched upon as well, which is dressing the algorithm. So, you know, digital fashion or your digital identity, it is empowering new forms of self-expression. So, you know, let's dig into this topic a little bit more. We touched on it earlier, but are avatars in algorithm-driven or trend-chasing looks, or only about, you know, cultural representation? What does that look like to you in terms of, you know, dressing your specific digital identity? And I know, Rebecca, you already touched on it a little bit in terms of what your character looks like in Roblox, but, you know, we can go back to you as well. But for the others here, what does your digital identity look like? And, you know, how did you formulate what that looks like and in different worlds, I guess you could say?
It's a super good question. I think from Roustan's point as well, it changes when you start getting accustomed to the possibilities of virtual worlds. So when I first went into Decentraland, I opened an art gallery. I bought my first digital dress to wear at the art gallery opening, and I started representing myself in a digital space. So it's like, okay, I have blonde hair, so my avatar has to have blonde hair. Increasingly that develops because you realize that you can be much more responsive about things that you want to connect with people on. So, you know, on a dating profile, they say to write lots, because then there's going to be something there that someone connects with. And I find that in Decentraland, people do this in terms of how they dress. So I wear a Venus de Milo head often, because I like to connect with people that get that reference. And I wear it with a robot body that references Blade Runner. I often wear things from friends that have created. So I'll wear a Roustan body paint outfit styled with my robot, or I'll wear something that says a meme. So a lot of wearables in virtual worlds are created around memes. So there's one that's Mew that links to a creator in Decentraland called Sinful. So if I'm wearing this, I have a direct connection with people that get that reference and start conversations with me. So it's almost like styling a whole profile about yourself in terms of how you present yourself in a virtual world with the explicit purpose of connecting with people. And then once you go beyond that, you start trying to connect with yourself. You start trying to have dialogues with yourself about, what do I imagine myself to be? Okay, I want to link towards a tiger. I create myself as a tiger. I want to be able to float and sit on mushrooms. Okay, let me do that. And so it's this incredible process of almost this self-actualization of first presenting yourself really, then having a dialogue with other people, and then moving towards a dialogue with yourself and how you actually want to see yourself projecting into the real world. You're on mute, Roustan.
I think you were trying to, connect. We're not there yet. The neural link and all that stuff.
Yeah. I was saying Tangpoko, who had commented earlier saying hello, she's a regular in introducing themes to her venue, her virtual venue. And those themes such as, just for example, like bathing suit or like pool party or tiger feral night where you have to be an animal or just whatever. She has done so many. And what it does is it invokes all the users to want to be a part of that. And if they don't have that wearable, they have to go buy it so that they could represent that and be a part of it, And also I wanted to mention like Bay's description of when she first joined. It's the same as when I first joined. I opened my gallery and I bought a wearable to represent. I could not be sitting there in default wearables if I'm showcasing my space for the first time, And I'm the same. I have like this sort of base look that looks like me, dark hair, glasses, beard, but everything else is wild, can be normal, can be whatever, But I also notice like businesses, not only just avatars, but spaces. Like some businesses want to make a virtual replication of their existing business. And to me, it's like, why? When you can do anything you can possibly imagine, why do you want to make it look like it does in real life? And I think there are these things, there are these like milestones that you achieve as you enter this new platform that everybody goes through. And as you level up, you really begin to understand it. And that's why I don't think the future is us looking like exact twin replicas.
Yeah. No, for me, it's happened the same experience. Like when I joined Decentraland the first time, I went for the most common clothing that I could wear, like, to appear as normal as me as possible. And then I'm like, why? Like I'm in this universe where I can just be whatever I want to be. And exactly like what Roustan was saying about like, these businesses coming in and doing the same thing that they're doing outside in it. Like we need to explore a little bit of like imagination in these spaces. There's so much magic that you can create and experiences that you can elaborate for people. And for me, I think that's like the liberating, really amazing part of it. Like, you go first as very confused especially somebody who hasn't had the experience with it. You go there and then you're like, okay, so I have to create somebody that looks like me because in that way it looks more real, right? And then you go transforming and evolving into more like, well, it's about my content, it's my personality, and you start detaching from how you actually look physically and start creating a little bit more magic and start experimenting. And how would you see yourself if you had the freedom to change everything about you and just express that? And that's like really interesting. For me, I get so bored, and sorry to say, but sometimes when, these big brands come in and in the metaverse and just do the same thing, and I'm like, we don't like it in the real world. Why do you think we would like it here? So it's like, try to be more creative and like explore, look at the people, how people are expressing here, how people are sharing their experiences differently. It's an opportunity to really just get out of your box and be something else, at least physically.
Really quickly, I have one thing. the first wearable I tried to create in Decentraland was a t-shirt, and I finished it, and I was like, why the hell did I make a t-shirt when I could make anything I can imagine? Just like a t-shirt with my logo on it, you know? And I was like, I should make a body painting. And so I scrapped that completely, and I made a body painting. Like, I can't give this to, like, I can't body paint everyone in the world, but they can collect a digital body painting of mine and rock it, you know? And
Yeah.
like Glitch was saying, like, when a business comes in and they drop their free wearable for entering their experience, and it's just a t-shirt, it's like, noob, don't make just a t-shirt.
You're
sound like
basically,
every
I can't say
11-year-old.
that in live stream especially because it's LinkedIn, but like, you know, I love pumpkin spice latte and all that kind of stuff, but like you can be basic sometimes, but digital is one that place where you can be ephemeral, you could be completely a different persona, you know, like I think the
Extra.
best example that I love giving that people don't understand digital fashion, digital identity, all this kind of thing is go watch Hunger Games. You see when Katniss Everdeen's dress lights on fire, I not safe. I'm not doing that, you know, like I'm not gonna light my dress or myself on fire. Like that is not something I would do. But you know, can you see that in a digital space and it come together? VTO, augmented reality filter, or in the metaverse or an immersive world. Like there's just so much mind-bending things beyond the physical limitations that actually come through, which is super fascinating. Rebecca, I'm gonna go to you for 1 second. But I'm just going to say for anyone who's listening live or the playback, if you want to drop what your digital identity looks like, we'd love to see it. We're going to go back, some of us, at least I will, to comment and take a look. I love to see, you know, how you dress yourself, you know, what it looks like. What's your styling method when it comes to styling your digital identity? Because I think everyone has a reason or an emotion or a specific strategy as to why they're doing that. But yes, Rebecca, you had some thoughts.
Well, I'm not going to talk about the fashion because I have already, but I will share. So Roustan and Glitch. So business, how do businesses, brands, how does anyone leverage like the digital identity? Be imaginative, reimagine for your fans, as I call customers and consumers. So for example, like we build websites as in my business, Epic Playdate, and we do custom Shopify and Squarespace. Great. Well, what we're also now doing is what we're calling 3D websites by doing just virtual stores. And these virtual stores are not a digital twin of your shop, of your Shopify template, for example, or your Shopify custom site that we do. It is a reimagined space where people can shop with their avatar and they can see 3D models and make the transaction there. And so, for example, like one example of the company that we're working with, their concept is like a surf shop. Well, you go in, it's like built into a wave. Like the shop in real life looks nothing like that. It's a store.
Yeah.
But when you go into this virtual space, you're inside of a wave. There's like really cool stuff. So the idea is like, let's suspend what a digital twin can be, especially for brands. Like how cool is that? So I'm building one for 2 clients right now. And we're just like, let's go throw everything at the wall. So let's just try some new stuff and see what happens.
Well, I think that's the whole thing with like digital innovation, emerging technology. And Bay, I'm sure you have a lot of conversations about this being a professor. But the way we actually test and learn, a lot of people and brands are actually stuck against, you know, people who manage the money, CFOs. We're calling you out here. You do not want to spend money on things that have no ROI, but at the same time, allocate a specific budget. If you're willing to spend money on the Super Bowl, on an ad, millions of dollars, then why wouldn't you experiment, experience immersive, digital identity, metaverse, virtual try-on. There's so many different things that you could do. And I think, recently it's been the name of the game where it's really, you learn and leverage it. Like my motto for the next 3 months and just recently it's been cook or be cooked, as the kids say. So you either learn it and you leverage it and you don't get replaced by AI, or unfortunately, a lot of jobs, a lot of tasks, a lot of things will be eliminated. And it's super scary because I think that everyone is very emotional because it is very new and it's triggering, especially with Studio Ghibli, ChatGPT image. I mean, this is what is getting people to pay attention to AI. And I mean, digital identity for sure has something to do with that. We are getting to close to 6 minutes left. Can you guys run a little bit longer, or do we have a hard stop? Just want to double check. All right, so
I can be a little bit, yes.
I have to have that in 6 minutes. So.
All right, cool. Then maybe we'll extend just for around 5 or 10 minutes, because if you're watching live and if you have a question, I want to be able to open up the floor to anyone. But Bae, I'm curious, and maybe you can, inform us while we wait, which is, you teach emerging technology. How did that come about? What does it look like? What are the, I guess, perspectives of, students, especially you're in Valencia as well?
So I teach on the international campus for Berkeley, Boston, the music school. So I teach on the Global Entertainment and Music Business Masters. So I teach record label owners, musicians, producers, how to start to plan for these emerging tech. So I teach a lot about hype cycles. I mean, we're talking about AI right now, massive hype cycle. We all know what's going to happen. It happens every single time. And my students get very excited about these topics: hype cycles, disruptors, AI, NFTs, virtual worlds, how they, as music industry professionals, can start diving under the hood and understanding what it means for them, their artists, the future of the entertainment industry. And so if we look at brands, it's really super interesting right now about the entertainment industry as a whole. Our attention spans are dropping. We have these instant gratification social media platforms. We see the opposite trend right now in virtual worlds. So what we're seeing happen is we have this bifurcation of 2D media. The attention spans are going down, whereas in virtual worlds, we're seeing this increase in attention. That if you're a brand and a social media platform, you spend hundreds of $1,000s on dropping an ad, and you maybe get 2 seconds of attention. Whereas you're dropping a much lower spend in a virtual world, and yet you have 40 minutes of engagement. And this is a story that's coming across the industries of 3D spaces being much more about engagement than instant gratification. It's something that my students really explore. We build virtual installations. We had an amazing project recently with Beyonce's publicist, who came in and set the students a challenge of creating a digital archive for an artist. And these archives ranged from Lady Gaga to Gilberto Gil, and we're looking at translating an artist's work into a 3D immersive environment. You can't do that on a 2D social space. The engagement isn't there. And yet in these spaces that we're building now in virtual worlds, you can create something that can present a whole history of someone, immerse them in that world for whether it's 10 minutes to an hour, and you have something entirely different. And I think that's the kind of lesson that the brands are starting to learn, but it really is the innovators coming through that are taking that lesson.
There's so much to unpack there. You might have to join either Monbug Monday or a different show. But I just want to get to some of the comments. I mean, like I said, you guys are writing something crazy in here. Okay, Rebecca, I see your message. You said you have to head out. You know what, then? Let's have you give your final thoughts and exit, and then we'll continue on for about 10 minutes just to address a couple of things. And I want to give a little plug again for Decentraland, who's powering this conversation. So Rebecca, thanks for joining. Quick final thoughts and how we can support you.
Oh my gosh, appreciate it. Thank you so much again for this awesome opportunity. I'm so great meeting all of you. I'm excited to hop into Decentraland. It's the third year. I'm so excited. So Epic Playdate, we are creative brand consulting. We're doing just a lot of visual storytelling, visual identities, cool websites, 3D now. And you can just find me at epicplaydate.co, at epicplaydateco or .co. And then I'm at the Real Blocks Mom on Real Blocks. So if you want to come hang out and check out that space, we can style our outfits together.
I love that.
All right,
so much for joining. Appreciate you, Rebecca.
Take care. Thanks.
And make sure to connect with her as well. She's in the, okay, this looks so visually different. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get 6. I mean, we just weren't able to this time, but I like the nice even number, but I love Rebecca. So it was an excellent conversation. Yeah, so if you have any questions, please do drop them in comments, but I do want to get to some of these comments, which is interesting from LM. I love being dripped in my paint, pour patterns because they are scrolling materials of many of my avatars and then pair with a matching hoodie or dress in the physical has been a dream come true. And I feel like, first of all, Roustan, you probably have a lot you can comment on this Bay as well. I'm sure Glitch, but any thoughts on this?
Yeah, the ability to create combinations is just the best thing ever. And it's cool when like someone wears something of mine and then they add to it and create their own original thing from it. It's just awesome to see. Like, it's excellent.
I thought this was an interesting comment. I definitely need an avatar. Sorry, LinkedIn user. I can't see who it is because I'm on a multi-stream platform. It says, when I started in this space, it was COVID lockdown, but it wasn't as easy to create, or I would have. Now is the time. Yes, it is so much faster. I wasn't even in this space during that time. And let's see. Oh, this one is a long one. Again, Harvard business case study from all of you in comments here. And it even gets cut off. You can't even read it all. But Astrid says, in my opinion, there are two very different things going on in the world of digital identity and avatars. One, a model or athlete who wants to create a digital twin of his or herself, effectively making their brand more productive, touch more people, and creating more opportunity for their brand, or creating a way to express yourself in completely different situations or on different platforms like DCL as authentically as you choose to express yourself. And this includes creating a new AI avatar to move into brand ambassadors, storytelling, and so much more. Whew, that was a mouthful. I mean, y'all are very excited. I love this. And then Tang, I love this. It goes further than fashion. The avatar identity is a powerful tool for expressing identity, personal style, and this part right here, the values. That's something that's super interesting. And I see you, Sanjay. Thank you for joining and being a part of this. And Crypto Magic Hour, who's Dave, very big in the crypto and meme scene. And he was my guest, and I think he's going to co-host this Monday. So very excited, but also has a question. So he said, just saw Futureverse partner with Story Protocol, IP on chain. Any thoughts? Do you guys have any comments on this?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay, this is...
So we need to look into it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Dave, we can talk about this separately outside. Maybe not the right audience for this, but that's totally okay. Let's see. It's 1:02 p.m. And I just want to get into just some final thoughts from each of you. And then also how we can support you. And then Bay, when we get to you, I think it would be great if you could give another sharing in terms of, DCL, DC Metaverse Fashion Week, what people can expect on the roster, how to get set up, because I think actually maybe that would be a great part to clip. So Glitch, why don't we start with you, and then we'll go Roustan and then end with Bay.
No, yes, just like that. No, I just want to say I'm very grateful for this conversation and having the opportunity to chat with all of you. It has been really great. And for me right now, I am in that phase where I am in a mode of experimental and creation. Especially, I really need to play a lot more with Decentraland, because at the beginning, it was very difficult for me to create something there, because my creations sometimes are a little bit too too many polygons, too many pixels, too many everything. So sometimes reduce that to try to compress to something that can translate there properly. But I really, when I'm going to get into, especially listening to Roustan and to all the stories about the wearables there, I think it's a really amazing place to create community. In terms for what I am going to be doing right now, my main focus at the moment has been is just I am doing the sort of, a partnership with the University of Fashion here in Amsterdam. And it's mainly to focus on digitalizations of nature-based materials, because I think that's a part sometimes that get a little bit like when you go to the digital space, when it's an amazing opportunity for you to educate about these type of materials that can be translated into the real world, especially everything related to mycelium. I'm obsessed with all that thing. So for me, the way that you can support me is just, follow along and just get in touch and connect with me wherever is it that you feel comfortable. I'm very open learn new things and to share what I know if I know it, right? And just follow up with that. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and looking forward to the Decentraland Fashion Week.
We're very excited. Thank you so much, Glitch. Roustan?
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit. I just want to encourage anyone who's curious about the metaverse, hasn't stepped in, or maybe has and is having trouble really figuring out how to succeed in it, if they're looking to try to succeed at something. In my opinion, now more than ever is the greatest time, especially for artists, musicians, businesses even, to promote their brand, push their brand. But you need to abandon everything you know from Web 2 and the past. Just let it go. Just let it go completely. Don't listen to metaverse marketing gurus. They don't know what they're talking about. Don't listen to journalists that are writing about how bad the metaverse is, because they don't know what they're talking about. Like, get in there, do it. Just go explore, have fun, meet people. And by doing that, you're going to learn. And what you'll find is that just being you attracts other people. And so be you, put yourself out there, create stuff that is representative of you, and you will succeed, honestly. But if you go there with the intention of like, oh, if I just put this here, it'll make a lot of money, you're not more likely to succeed at that. And so just go have fun, explore. Go have fun, explore. That's all you have to do. Enjoy it. And then with that said, things that I'm doing. This Saturday, I am painting at a gallery. For those in California, you're all invited. I'm body painting at a gallery. It's a group show about surreality. The curator of the show said the magic words to me. She said, I heard you're into AI and NFTs. And I was like, oh, like for a second there, I thought I was just going to put prints on the wall and leave it at that, you know? And she said the magic words, and I was like, oh yeah, you're talking to the right guy. So I have a big presentation there, basically, that showcases the metaverse. It showcases NFTs. It showcases AR and VR. And I'm basically force feeding it to normies. And I would love it. I would absolutely love it if a bunch of Web3 people showed up understanding what the hell I'm talking about to help back me up on this. You know, so you are invited. It's at VIFA Gallery in Torrance, California, 6 p.m. Saturday. Anyone who can make it, please come on by. And then next week is Metaverse Fashion Week, and I'm a featured artist. And right now you can jump in there and collect one of my digital body paintings for free. So pop in there and come to the opening show there, and we'll have a good time. Thank you so much, Janey, for having me.
Thank you for joining. Seriously, it was I had heard about you, and someone was like, "How come you weren't connected before?" And I was just going through your art, and I was commenting on your Instagram. So definitely make sure to follow Glitch, Roustan, amazing artists and designers. Like, I mean, mind blowing in terms of what you're actually creating, especially with technology. And last but not least, Bay.
Yeah, so I'm deep in Metaverse Fashion Week right now. I have the amazing privilege of working, like people like GLITCHOFMIND, Roustan. On it, we have 16 different showrooms from some of the best projects in the world, working with virtual technologies in fashion. So if you're new to this and you want to start exploring what actually is happening right now, jump in. As Roustan said, if you want to jump in now, so if you want the simple experience of just coming into Decentraland, it's decentraland.org. You download the software. It means it's really immersive. It's like a video game. If you've played Fortnite, you download the game, you enter the game. If you do that now in Decentraland, in the very first place you arrive, which we call Genesis Plaza, in the bar, you will see there is what we call a dispenser. You hit the dispenser and immediately Roustan's body painted skin drops into your account, your wallet. If you have a Web3 wallet, you don't need one. You can just log in with Gmail or other Web2 identities. That will drop. You can then start wearing that around Decentraland and start exploring. If you want to come to Fashion Week, if you want to know what's on, we have 8 expert talks continuing this kind of conversation. We have 3 interactive runways. We have 3 immersive animated runways by OG brands like Cyberdog, an amazing Ghanaian streetwear collective called Free the Youth. It's the people working at the real edges of what's possible right now. It is free to come. All you need to do is go to either decentraland.org or the landing site for Fashion Week, which is Metaverse Fashion Week, which is MVFW, metaversefashionweek.org. If you can't find it, just go to decentraland.org. You can kind of be pointed from there. It's completely open to everybody. It's extremely immersive. It is extremely fun. It's the best time to come into Decentraland for the first time as one of our big events because the community is so excited. Everyone's talking to each other. There are parties, there are activations. It just gets very silly and very awesome. And it's a great way of starting to experience what virtual worlds mean and how you respond to that and what you want to communicate and how you want to dive into that space.
So much to be excited about with everything. Roustan, I'd love if you could send me a post if you for LA, because actually I know a bunch of people in LA, so I'd love to share it with them. Unfortunately, I won't be there, and I don't think Glitch or Bay will be able to go, but if we could support you in that way, then for sure.
Later in May, I'll have an artist talk where I'm connected on a giant 86-inch TV screen to Decentraland, and people from anywhere in the world can join and see what's happening in the gallery and communicate back and forth. So that might be the perfect opportunity for you guys.
There you go. Okay, so make sure to connect also with Roustan. Bay, thank you for that. I think we're all very excited for Decentraland Metaverse Fashion Week. It is super busy for all of you, so I appreciate you guys for staying. And I'm going to give my space a place at a table as well. Just very quickly, as I said, my name is Janey Park. I went from beauty, fashion, tech executive to now building a media brand, which honestly, when I first had said that, it made me feel queasy, but I think that's a lot of people as we are building our own thing. And I've actually launched 5 different shows. Yes, call me crazy, call me delusional, but basically we mentioned it earlier. Monday is a mukbang. It's 8 p.m. EST. Again, I'm Korean and I want to represent my culture. And also just, you know, there's something about eating together, even if it's a digital dinner, talk about mental health, talk about AI, and just chit chat about what people are doing, they're building, or we'll do ChatGPT image with you. Tuesdays is Fashion Tech Tuesdays. It's a Twitter audio spaces. Anyone can hop in. If you're in my community and you want to co-host, definitely that thing is open to you. And we literally just go through different news and insights. And I'm going to throw up the QR code up there, which is the newsletter that you could subscribe to. The other show is the Roundtable like this, which I love this conversation. I feel like we probably could have gone for an 8-hour conference. Obviously, time for that right now, unless someone is paying us extra for this. But it was an amazing conversation. The 4th show is a podcast. It's one-to-one interviews. I love to have all of you back at some point to do like a little tech and art demo as well. And then the final one is the Artist Way, a creative reset. If you haven't heard about it, I hate woo-woo things. I'm very business and commercial at the end of the day, but it's literally an action and a game plan that helps you kind of work through a lot of creative blockers, business blockers to pursue creativity and things like that. And that's just me raw, you know, no makeup like this, streaming live on YouTube. But I appreciate you all. I gave myself space because honestly, sometimes it's hard as a host to also do that, but I'm consciously, you know, making sure that I share about what I'm doing, and all of you should as well. And thank you for everyone who is tuning in live or watching the playback. Make sure to comment, network. This is why these shows are live. Share what you're doing. Send someone a DM. Literally, I think Web3 and also this emerging tech side, especially with fashion, is the most friendliest that you'll get. People will actually respond to you. So without further ado, I just want to say thank you again all for joining. Again, make sure to connect with Decentraland. Thank you for powering this show. And I just want to say Metaverse Fashion Week, very excited for it. We missed it over the last few years that it wasn't happening, but it is back and it is going to be popping online. Get your best digital identity and fits ready. The replay for this will be available on YouTube and also Spotify, Apple, if you prefer not to see our faces. Just kidding. If you prefer audio, so just to let you know. But I appreciate you, Roustan, Bay, Glitch, and also Rebecca for joining. So thank you all so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.